Time to get the show on the road. It's 6:30. And I want to say thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you giving up whatever it was that you did to come here. It's time that the careers and the trades got some love. So I'm really happy that we're doing this presentation, and I'm happy that we have these amazing panelists to tell you what their days are like, to talk about the careers and the trades. And we have the state of Michigan. Christy is representing Michigan Works, and how kids go from high school to where you want to go. Okay? So Christy, if you want to kick us off, that would be wonderful.
First of all, I am from the state of Michigan, but I don't work for the state of Michigan. I work for Michigan Works, and we represent Macomb and St. Clair counties. It's kind of unique because we are in two different regions that the state set up. So we're in Region 9, which is Macomb and Oakland and Wayne County, and then Region 6, it's Region 10. I don't even know where I am. Region 6, which is St. Clair, Shiawassee, Genesee, Lapeer, Tuscola, Huron, and Sanilac counties. So Macomb, St. Clair, Macomb County Michigan Works, and St. Clair County Michigan Works is operated under the same header. And we have been doing that for longer than I've been at the agency, which is 30 years this year. So I did work in Port Huron early in my career, and most recently I have been asked to be the apprenticeship success coordinator. There is one individual at every Michigan Works. Some Michigan Works has somebody who works part-time and comes in and does things, and my job is that. I'm also a talent specialist. I also work for the Workforce Intelligence Network, which we're going to talk about career cruising a little bit later, and My Bright Future. Does anybody know those terms?
Career cruising.
Good. So I do a little dabbling here and there and everything, and so what I prepared for you, I left on my desktop at my office, so I apologize. But I do have some handouts. I wanted to start off with the Going Pro video. Apprenticeships is a really big thing now within the federal government and state governments and locally as well. One of the things that has happened is the federal government is providing grants. So there's a lot of different opportunities out there that is helping companies out with starting apprenticeships, also getting individuals into pre-apprenticeship programs. So we'll start with the Going Pro video.
I get to do something every day and get paid for that I enjoy.
I'm a telemetry monitoring technician. In high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I'm so glad I pursued this. It's such a great career.
I never thought that manufacturing would be where I would go, but it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
For me, I started my co-op program at my high school. I started in a small shop, and they ended up putting me through the apprenticeship program. I've been doing this for 32 years. It can be a very well-paying career.
The part I enjoy is when the job is completely done and you look back and you can say, man, I helped build that even 30, 40 years from now.
I'm working on my journeyman's card and I have no debt.
Information technology is a fun career path.
I've brushed shoulders working here with people that have bachelor's degrees and have master's degrees, and I don't have a degree, and we're doing the exact same thing.
Everybody is kind of under the assumption that if they don't go to college, they're going to have a mediocre job, and that's really not the case.
It's fun, and not very many people can say that about what they do. Opportunities are definitely here in Michigan.
That is just one video that's available on the MyTalent, mitalent.org. This is the Pure Michigan Talent Connect. So for the state of Michigan, and in every state, the federal government requires the states to have a talent pool, so individuals can go and place their resumes on the website, and then employers can also go and look for resumes there. So if somebody goes through the unemployment process, they are required to come into Michigan Works office and register with us. We have a lot of different programs that are available free of charge, running from seminars that can teach you how to do social media stuff. You guys probably don't need that, the people from high school, maybe the parents do, but those are all free of charge. But if you go to the Michigan Talent Connect, the Pure Michigan Talent Connect, which is at mitalent.org, you will see across the center there, home, job seeker. If you go all the way over to the right, there's a skilled trades area. And when you click on skilled trades area, if you go to the Going Pro Skilled Trades, you can go and actually see videos for many different occupations that are in skilled trades. There's also information about secondary education there, post-secondary education, and there's place for students, parents, and educators. This site is not only for looking for a job, but it's also for searching for careers. You'll also see an area where it says career exploration. One of the things that has happened in the last couple of years is apprenticeships used to be building trades apprenticeships, plumbers, electricians, operating engineers. Now there's a lot of expansion. The federal government has been pushing a model that comes out of Germany. So there's a lot of different occupations that are now apprenticeable. There is a medical assistant program that operates over out of West Michigan Works, where they partnered with 3 hospitals who were having trouble finding qualified individuals to be medical assistants. Then they partnered with 3 community colleges, and they have sent individuals into to learn how to be a medical assistant, which opens a gateway or a pathway for an individual to become a nurse or in some other medical field. You may ask, what is an apprenticeship? Does anybody know? Apprenticeship is split between a classroom training program and an on-the-job training. You're learning the book stuff, but you're also going to work every day, not every day, usually it's a split. Some programs you will do all your training up front. Some programs you'll go to school a couple days a week, and then you'll work the other days. In the apprenticeship, registered apprenticeships, there are some key players. The employer usually pays for the training. So when we were talking about individuals who don't have debt after they've gone through schooling and through an apprenticeship, it's because the employers do. There's a classroom trainer. Sometimes it's a community college. Sometimes it's a union program. There's a sponsor, and that's the individual who does all the paperwork to get that individual registered. The apprentice, and then there's the U.S. Department of Labor. And they're through the Office of Apprenticeship. And what they do is they come in and they look at the program to make sure that you're learning what you need to learn in the classroom, but you also have a training program that you're learning so that at the end you will come out with the knowledge that you need. You start out, you get paid a salary when you're working. The employer pays for the schooling. So it's a pretty good deal.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. Who regulates that? What company?
It's the U.S. Department of Labor, Office of Apprenticeship.
Okay.
It's nationally recognized, and those apprenticeships are good across the country.
So when you've completed 100, it depends on how long the apprenticeship is. Some apprenticeships are 4 years long.
Okay, I thought it was
well, there may be some that are 7 years as well, or 6 years, or 5 years, or 1 year, depending on what program it is.
Okay.
When an individual is 144 classroom hours a year to 2,000 hours of work. So once they put the plan together, then they would know how long it will take for an individual to complete. When they complete that and they've passed all their classes, some apprenticeships require you to take state licenses, and I'm sure some of the individuals up here are going to talk about that as well. You will get a U.S. Department of Labor journeyman card upon completion. Okay, so benefits that are available, benefits for the apprentice. It's the best ways for the worker to acquire experience and training and get established in a career. A lot of individuals that are coming out of four-year universities, they don't have the work experience that they need, and a lot of employers are looking for 1 to 2 years experience, so it's kind of a catch-22 for individuals. The benefits Through the apprenticeship agreement, an apprentice and the employer, they receive supervision, structured on-the-job training, combined with related technical instruction. The instruction is usually in a classroom, specifically with other individuals that are doing the same type of training you are. Registered apprenticeship programs also have dual accreditation, so individuals who go through a 2-year apprenticeship can usually get an associate's degree at the same time, so they get their apprentice, or their journeyman card. There's a progressive increasingly schedule of wages, so when you start off, the company who's doing the apprenticeship is required to provide 60% of the wages that you would get as an individual entering into the occupation. After a 6-month period of time, you would get a raise. Upon completing a 1 to 5 years apprenticeship, the worker receives the apprenticeship completion certificate and is recognized as a qualified journey worker nationwide. One of the things that I have found out since I started working with this program is I had an employer who called me who said, having a hard time finding electricians because we do things worldwide, going to other states. They're certified here in the state of Michigan, but they're not certified in the state of Ohio, or they're not certified in Florida. So I did a little looking into that. Even though you have the journeyman status, you would still need to be licensed by the state for some occupations. Registered apprenticeships.
I was going to ask a question about that, because she just said it was recognized throughout the United States.
It is a recognized credential, but for some occupations, you have to be licensed by the state. And I can tell you just a little bit about it, because electrical stuff here is very different than electrical stuff down in the Gulf area.
Like, for example, too, Jerry on the end is a master mechanic, and he has Michigan certification, but he also has ASE. So, you know, in Michigan, when you look at that certification, they would seem to be more stringent than ASE.
ASE is much more broad and more respected. Michigan is just, it's required by law in Michigan to be, the minimum you need in Michigan is a Michigan certification. If you have an ASE certification, the state of Michigan recognizes that, and you just pay them their money and they'll give you your license.
One of the other things about being a registered apprenticeship, trainees are covered by state industrial insurance while they're attending related courses, while they're partaking in the apprenticeship. Registration is a requirement to work as an apprentice or trainee on both the state and the federal public works projects. So if an individual is working on a public project, they have to be registered with the state and the federal government. Registered apprentices have access to appeal processes in the event of a serious problem arising during course of training. So it's not just you get in and then you're there. You still have to work hard. You have to show up on time. You have to follow instructions and work hard.
Christy, I have a question. So let's say someone in this room wants to be, I want to be an electrician, or I want to be a pipe fitter. What do I do when I get out of high school? What do I do? Where do I go?
So there, I had on my, that I was going to share with you, and I did bring a list, so if you want some specifics about a specific occupation, I can send you, if you give me your email address. We have information sheets that have the scope of the work that you would be doing, the requirements for each one. Normally, it's 17 or 18 years of age for an individual to become an apprentice. They have to.
You here today, right?
Huh?
You don't have it here right now today.
I don't.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to. I was clarifying.
Yeah, somebody called me when I was walking out of my office, and
Is it available somewhere online? We can access it online somewhere?
I can give you my email address, or you can give me your email address if you tell me what exactly you're looking for. I can either send you all of them, or I can send you, there's like 25 different ones.
Great.
25, you know, so the listing that I have has a scope of work, requirements, the length of the program itself, who to contact if you're interested, and when their open enrollment dates are. So depending on which program you're looking for, the Boilermakers take applications Tuesdays between 1 and 3 o'clock. So every Tuesday they take applications for individuals. I also can provide you with an email, or I can send it to you and you can share it with everybody. Some testing sites that will allow you to go in and experience a test before you would go in and take a test, because you normally have to take an entrance exam. Math is important, depending on which ones you're doing. Sometimes they, for electrical, they want you to have some blueprint reading background. So there are some pre-apprenticeship programs out there, and the electrical union, IBEW, don't quote me.
It is.
Somebody else might, 58, down. They have a pre-apprenticeship program, and they run start dates every once in a while, so they touch base with Michigan Works, and they ask for referrals for individuals. And an individual can go through a 10-week pre-apprenticeship program, put you in a really good place to go through the interviewing process and potentially become an electrical apprenticeship. But again, you still have to work at it. So very important stuff.
That kind of brings up the next question too. So you're applying to be an apprentice, right?
Yes.
So there's like an application process, interview process, and so these are like methods to kind of up
your opportunity or your potential of getting in, yes.
And that pre-apprentice program, how do you access that?
It's through the electrical industry training center.
Okay.
I will put together a packet and email it to you, because I'm sure you have access to all the individuals in here.
From the list that we've generated, the attendance list, we can send out that information. I'll put a sheet together and we'll send it out.
A couple of the other things that I think are important, when you're going and looking for a job and you get in for an interview, ask the employer, do you do training with your employees? Do you have an apprenticeship program? Because a lot of employers that do have apprenticeship programs will not hire somebody walking in off the street to be an apprentice. What they're looking for is somebody who has been working for them and has proven themselves as a consistent worker, as somebody who shows up when they're supposed to, they're a hard worker, and then they choose them to become an apprentice.
Okay, so you see the T? That's a T. Careers and trades, that's a T. That's good, right? Huh? Here's the lineman. He's the T. My name is Kim Schonk, and I'm the moderator for this program for this evening. And I am the Blue Water College Access Network coordinator at RESA. So you can get a hold of me here. My email is shonk.kim@sccresa.org. Okay? And I put together this panel it's a very diverse group, and a lot of them have really interesting career histories, okay? Not everyone went straight to their job and they've been doing that for 30 years and then they're retiring. That a lot of these people have different occupations, different careers, and different pathways. So I've asked them to kind of share their history, how they got to where they are, and what they would recommend for somebody who's interested in that career now, okay? Or who's considering that career now, all right? And so down on the end there, we have Wayne Bruce, and this is Wayne's little tiny history here. He is the owner-operator of Commercial Diving and Marine Services Incorporated, located in Port Huron, Michigan. Wayne started diving 46 years ago in 1971 and started his own commercial diving company in 77. Today, Commercial Diving and Marine Services is one of the largest providers of divers and underwater services in Michigan, employing full-time union divers and tenders to serve the underwater needs of industry in the Great Lakes region. Married 45 years to his wife, Donna, who runs the business end of the company. They have 2 daughters and 4 grandchildren. Wayne was raised in Algonac, and Wayne and Donna currently live in Port Huron. In 1986, while researching for the tug Mary Alice B, Wayne discovered the Regina and later the tug Sport. Wayne is also chief of the St. Clair County Sheriff Dive Rescue Team, and the County Hazmat Team. Wayne started scuba diving in 1971 and has been on the Sheriff Dive Team for over 46 years. Today, Wayne is the dive chief for the 25-man, 25-person St. Clair County Sheriff Team. Sheriff Dive Team. The dive team provides a rapid response to drownings and water rescues in St. Clair County and neighboring communities, including Canada. Some of the really cool and groovy things that commercial diving does, they do nuclear diving, contamination diving, methane diving, methane and closed contained, and maintenance, inspection. Am I missing any?
Probably.
Yeah, just about anything. Zebra mussel, they're zebra busters. What else? Just anything that has to do with water and it needs to be fixed or it's broken or it needs to be better somehow. He's part of making that happen, okay? Now, I always get kids who are interested in underwater welding. That seems to be, I want to be an underwater welder, you know? And so I wanted Wayne to kind of talk about what kind of people he's really interested in working with and what it would take for a kid now to be a part of that kind of a job.
That was quite the introduction. First, let me explain commercial diving. Diving is simply the way we get to go to work. Once we're there, we have to be a plumber or a welder or a photographer or an engineer or a pipe fitter. So diving is just a way for us to go to work. We are part of the Carpenters Local 687 Union, which is out of Detroit. They cover the divers in this area. They do have an apprenticeship program, but you have to be at least 18 years of age to start that. Because our jobs are at power plants, the Fermi power plant, and those locations have a lot of restrictions on who can and cannot come on site. So that program, the apprentice program for the divers, are required to be at least 18. We typically look for somebody who has a skill that we need. We can teach almost anybody to dive, but we can't teach them to work. If we need somebody who can do welding underwater, somebody who's been through a welding program, but it's much different underwater. You're not standing there in your dry boots and you're putting your hood down and all that kind of thing. You might be holding on with one hand to the bottom of a barge trying to weld a patch on with the other hand when you can only see a few inches. So diving becomes the difficult part of going to work. What you can do to prepare if you are interested in that kind of a field, our divers need to be jack of all trades. I would love somebody who's a small engine mechanic, somebody who understands and can repair hydraulic tools, somebody who knows air compressor systems, can work on our breathing air filters. We need a mechanic. We have numerous engines and trucks and trailers and vehicles that are constantly going down the road when we're working. If something breaks down, those individuals that are qualified will continue working back in the shop when we don't have a job out on the site. So learning skills above and beyond knowing how to dive keeps you employed in this industry. Starting out, it's going to be hard to find full-time work unless you're willing to travel. The majority of the diving work in the U.S. is probably in the Gulf of Mexico area, where the oil rigs offshore and the pipelines and things like that, they employ hundreds of divers. In the Great Lakes area, there's probably less, there's only half a dozen or so small diving companies, and they probably employ on the total of less than 50 divers in the Great Lakes area. But you need to travel. We have a full-time crew. Yesterday I think we put 8 people out on the road, 2 different locations. But generally it's 3 or 4 man crew going to a job. And most of our work is at the power plants, and we're doing whatever they need done, whether it's cleaning zebra mussels, fixing a traveling screen, doing an inspection of a water intake pipe, things like that. Let's take some questions.
Yeah, well, I want to say something. I had the opportunity to interview Wayne a couple years ago, and I said, if you were looking for people, if you were looking for kids out of high school, what kind of kids would you want? Do you remember what you said to that?
I don't, but I'm looking for somebody who is willing to work.
Yeah.
You know, who wants to get the call at 1 o'clock in the morning, hey Joe or Christine, we've got a freighter that ran into the dock down in Toledo and it's snowing out, you know. I'll meet you at the shop here in 20 minutes, we'll get the rest of the guys and we're gonna head down there, find out what's wrong and try and fix it. Nobody likes to do that. We all like to dive in the Florida Keys in July when it's nice and warm and clear. But nobody wants to get up out of bed in a snowstorm and go fix something that they don't know what's broke yet. So we're looking for people that can do more than dive.
Yeah.
So we get called out to, you know, do an inspection, see what the problem is down there, and then we're asked, well, can you salvage it? So not only do you need to know how to dive, but myself like a business owner, I gotta have qualified people. I need to be able to calculate buoyancy underwater, how much a crane can lift, what the swing radius is, what kind of angle you need on the boom. Just so many different things. If you're really thinking about commercial diving, diving is just a small part of it. You need to be able to do all these other skills. And it's not just for guys. Most commercial divers are guys. There's no doubt about it. But we hired a girl today. A commercial diver could earn, typically union scale in the Detroit area is about $46, $47 an hour for a diver. If you got your own diving equipment, you get an extra $60 a day. If you're diving over 30 feet deep, you get another $1, you know, per foot. So if you're diving 100 feet, you get 60 for your equipment, plus 70 for the depth, plus your $47 an hour. You know, it's a very worthwhile skill. You don't have to go to college for 4 years to get a commercial diver certificate. You need to be a diver to start with, and then you need to go to a commercial diving school. They last anywhere from 4 to 6 months. There's probably a dozen different schools across the country that offer the training, and they're expensive. They could cost $10,000 to $20,000 to go to one of these schools. They do have some military programs, and if you're a resident in New Orleans, there's different programs that each school has as far as financial aid. But that's just a certificate saying, I know how to dive. Then you're going to come to an employer like me, and I'm going to ask about all your other things. Well, besides diving, what can you do? Can you fix a diesel engine? Do you have a commercial driver's license so that when we're driving to the job, you can share in the driving? Do you have a HAZWOPER certification? Can you work in contaminated areas? Some of the power plants, some of the bodies of water that we dive in are contaminated. And for anybody to come on site and work, you have to have a 40-hour HAZWOPER certificate. You need to take a test. When you come to work for us, one of the first things you do is take a test. It's a drug test. Can't pass that, you don't go any further. Okay? They won't allow any of our employees that can't pass drug tests to go to Detroit Edison or the Fermi power plant or the Consumers Power. And that's where a lot of guys fail. You have to have a driver's license. Okay? We had an opening and we're hiring. And the first guy that was supposed to start work today said he couldn't make it today because he had a court date for his DUI. We can't have somebody like that driving, you know, our $80,000 truck with its $200,000 trailer down the road. You know, our insurance company won't permit it. The power plants do a background check, they won't let them on site. So you have all these responsibilities and things you need to think about when you're looking for an employer that's going to pay $40, $50 an hour. And the last thing we want is to have a 4-man crew, which is the minimum on many of the places we go, and get a call at 8:30 saying, hey, I'm not going to make it. You know, I got up late, or I got arrested last night. Because that stops the whole company from doing that job that day. So I can't just get somebody else, you know, on the job site at the time. So there's a lot of give and take. You're well paid, you're going to work hard, but you have to be a hard worker, willing to do it, to go to work.
And a good communicator. That was the other thing that you mentioned, was a good communicator.
Yes, so a lot of our work is in poor or zero visibility. And the customer says our traveling screen, you know, the screen that protects our water intake, is broken. We're not getting enough water through there. So the diver goes down there, he can't see anything, he's got to tell the customer what's wrong and how we're going to fix it. So one of the typical stories is the diver's down there, what do you got? I'm not sure. Okay, and we got video cameras and lights on the helmet and everything, but you can't see anything. Well, how big is it? It's pretty big. And it's $46 an hour, and I'm starting to get concerned. Well, describe it to me. Well, it's big and it's cold. If you can't go in, if you can't walk in your bedroom with the lights off and know where you are, you're probably not going to be a commercial diver. Okay? You have to go to the job site, which is underwater, find the problem, describe the problem. So we have to start, okay, is it bigger than a loaf of bread? Yeah, it's a lot bigger than that. Is it as big as an automobile? No, it's smaller than that. The customer who's paying the company, he gets fed up and we don't get called back there anymore. So you got to be able to think on your feet and relate, you know. It's about 2 feet long and 3 feet tall. It's sticking out of the mud. It's definitely man-made. It's got square corners. Wait a minute. Over on the west side, you got to know what north, south, east, and west, left and right. Divers left and right changes a lot underwater. You have to be able to describe in some terms that the customer can understand. You need to be able to then come out of the water, look on the blueprint, and say, yes, it's this piece right here, it's out of whack. You know, it's fallen down, it needs to be welded back up or bolted back in place. Things like technical report writing, blueprint reading, small engine mechanics, like I mentioned, commercial driver's license, the HAZWOPER certifications. All those things make you a package that I, as an employer, would be interested in. Because we're putting a lot of time and effort into showing you the ropes, training you, and taking a 4-man crew to a client that's very dependent on getting his power plant back in operation. You need to be able to describe something other than it's as big as a loaf of bread. Any questions?
Go ahead.
So just to clarify, then would someone who wants to work for you need to get a certification in commercial diving before coming to your company, or if they were to say have exceptional welding skills, could they come and be hired and learn on the job?
You can't dive unless you've got experience. And, you know, anybody scuba diver here done scuba diving? Okay. We generally don't do any scuba diving. We're doing hard hat diving. Your air's coming down a hose. You've got the big helmet on. If it's cold out, we're pumping hot water down to your suit to keep you warm so you can stay down there and work for 3 or 4 hours at a time. So you might be an excellent welder, and we may be repairing one of our trailers. We could hire you to work topside, you know, doing that welding work. You would have to have some particularly needed skills that we needed for a job. You know, if you could wire a 3-phase pump so that's rotating in the right direction, that's a skill that we often need. If you can calculate hydraulic head pressures and pressure loss running through 800 feet of 5-inch hose, those are skills that we need. Don't have to be a diver to do that, but you need to know some math and some practical ability to apply that. But generally speaking, if you want to be a diver, almost everybody does that starts because they want the $46 an hour. Tenders only get $32 an hour, which isn't too bad.
Yeah, you don't have to get wet.
No, but tenders probably have to work harder than most divers. So if you have a particular skill, we may be able to use it. Not all of our work is diving. We have high-end sonar systems that we can run up and down the water intake, locate the pipe, perhaps find a break. Now we know where to send a diver. We have remote-operated vehicles that work underwater, you know, a remote-operated camera with mechanical claw abilities. We need operators for that. And electronics people who can repair them. People who can keep our video systems working and our sound systems and our data recording things going. So there's a lot of things in this 4-man crew that come into play. So like I always say, diving is just how a way for us to get to work. Once you're there, you need to be able to apply these other trade skills to get the job done.
So individuals you have hired in the past, have they been apprentices, gone through an apprenticeship program like in carpentry or pipe fitting or something before they come to you, or is it just skills that they learned?
No, we've never had an apprentice come to us from the union saying, you know, we would like to have this apprentice work with your company. Carpenter unions, you have to have a certain number of people on the job before they'll allow an apprentice to work. You have to be sponsored by an employer to join the union. Carpenters Union, I know, is looking for apprentice, not just in the diving field, but in carpentry and foreign work and scaffold work, all kinds of things like that. There's a lot of jobs out there they're looking for.
Can I clarify?
Sure.
Or do you have journeymen that you have hired? People who have already gone through a program, they are journeymen carrying card carriers?
Absolutely. Probably the majority of our hires come right out of diving school. They've gone through the 4 or 5 months, 6 month school, and you know, as they're graduating from dive school, their instructors have these lists of diving companies. Hey, if you want to work in the Gulf, here's 10 companies that you can call, you know, that are typically do hiring. If you want to work in the Great Lakes, here are the numbers. So I typically know when a class is getting out because I'll get 4 or 5 calls. Hey, you got hiring any divers? And well, not right now is the typical answer, but send us a resume. You know, where's your home base? What are your skills? Well, I've got this, you know, ABC diving certificate. I said, do you have a commercial driver's license? No, I don't have a license right now. You know, I got in trouble here a few months ago. Or they're looking for jobs that last long term. There's two different kind of diving companies. Ours is more of an on-demand service. We service a lot of power plants, the Great Lakes shipping and things like that. If a freighter runs into a dock, we're going to get called to go to work. If the St. Clair power plant stops working, we're going to get called to find out why. But if everything is working good and the freighter doesn't hit the dock, we may not have any work for a couple of weeks. So the good guys, who are the mechanics, the blueprint readers, the electricians, they're working in the shop fixing our systems that aren't up to snuff. They might be building a trailer, they might be adding extra lights to our remote operated vehicle. I don't let those guys go without work because they'll get hired someplace else. So we keep them employed 40 hours a week. Another question?
Good.
Okay.
Hey, next up, Donna Russell Kerr. Donna is President, CEO, and co-owner of PTM Corporation and Modified Technologies Incorporated, both located in Fairhaven, Michigan. Her companies are third-generation family-owned and managed businesses that supply metal-engineered solutions to its customers. PTM Corporation is a global supplier of prototype and production metal stamped and assembled products. Modified Technologies is a leader in production tool design, build, and tryout services. Donna is a second-generation manufacturer and has held various positions in the company since 1982. Ms. Russell Kerr serves her community as a long-standing member and recently appointed president of St. Clair County Economic Development Association. Donna sits on the Come Home Award Selection Committee for the Community Foundation of St. Clair County, the first ever in the nation. Donna is active with Emma, Eastern Michigan Manufacturers Association. Other honorable recognitions include recipient of the 2017 Women's Business Enterprise of the Year Award and the first woman speaker at the 2015 Jetro,
Montezucuri.
Thank you. Event. Donna is involved with making her community better for tomorrow and loves to spend time with her family enjoying the majestic outdoors. Okay? And she brought with her Amy Moeller, which I was really happy to hear because Amy graduated from Marine City. Yeah, there goes. So, Amy started at Western, wasn't really sure what she wanted to do. Went through a lot of different try it, see if I like it kind of things. And I think we all feel that at times. What do we want to do? How do I know? How do I know when it's right? And she kept coming back to PTM. So Donna and Amy have a story about what they did. Yeah?
Well, thank you very much. And I'm just going to stand. I'm not going to come up here if you guys are okay with that. And hopefully everybody can hear me. But I am a second generation manufacturer. I went to work for our family owned company right out of high school. I too went to Marine City High School. I married a muskrat and we have 2 little muskrats. Anyways, you know, manufacturing is in my blood. I absolutely love what I do. I hate it and I love it all at the same time because I think if you're pretty passionate about something that you do, just like Wayne said here, nothing we do is ever easy. But I'm going to tell you something. If you love what you do every morning and you get up, that's what brings you back the next day. And with manufacturing being in my blood, and even my 3rd generation, my children and my nephews there, basically what we do, we provide engineered stamp solutions for our customers. Our customers are General Motors, FCA, which is Chrysler, Honda, Ford, Toyota, Nissan. We do business with all the large original equipment manufacturers. We call them OEMs. A lot of the things that Wayne said here are exactly what we look for. We look for people to be drug-free. You need a driver's license. You need to be able to show up on time. And what I mean show up on time is not running in exactly as the bell rings. So those are things that we just look for as the basics. You need to be to work 5-10 minutes early and be at your workstation when you're ready to work. The other thing that we require are good attitudes. My father, who started our company, always said, if you give me somebody with a good attitude, willing to be open, willing to learn, be willing to make change, be adaptable, you know, we can do a lot with somebody that's willing to bring those things to us, right? Another thing is very important, and I'm sure Wayne knows this too, and everybody on this panel, you got to work safe. When you come to work, we always want people to work safe. We need you to be safe. We need you to be there every day and work safe. We need a quality of work. I'm going to tell you guys something. We are competing against the world globally. Our world is changing. You guys know autonomous vehicles are out there. The way we manufacture and the way we produce cars today are changing so fast, and the types of vehicles that are out there. Competition is fierce. But what I love about Michigan is the engineering backbone, I think, of this world. We have so much wonderful engineering talent here. And I could tell you this, I don't think everybody needs that 4-year degree. I think it's a wonderful thing. I think you should do it if that's what you want to do. But I'm going to tell you, about half of my workforce doesn't have a formal degree. A lot of people have learned from job shadowing. Basically, that's where you come to work at an entry-level position, and then we put you with a team, and then you will learn from them. You'll shadow from them. You know, you work with different people, different departments. We also have journeyman program. We are just going to be graduating one of our tool and die journeymen. And we're non-union, so I think a lot of things you heard today are unions, but there's non-unions also. And I think non-union and unions, I think work pretty good together. But anyways, we have our own journeyman program, and our young fella, a fellow by the name of Matt Quinn, is going to be graduating. He worked in Macomb County. We broadcast our journeyman program that we had. We opened it to the outside. We also interviewed people who work for us. And so Matt Quinn came in. He was making $9 or $10 an hour, working at a stamping facility, just a general laborer, good kid. And he comes in, we go through an interview process, we go through a testing process. It's very stringent. I'm going to tell you something. If you guys get an opportunity to get a journeyman program, that's a gift. I'm going to tell you, it's a gift. So our guy comes in here, he gets the journeyman program. I can't believe how quick 4 years has gone by. Our journeyman program for tool and die is just one program that we have in the tool and die industry. So he works through 4 years. He's received 8,000 hours of training working with different cross-functional teams. That's in tool rooms, that's working on the presses, that's repairing tools, that's in our design department, that's working in our engineering department. 8,000 hours over 4 years. He also did online classes on his own time. Now this was zero cost to him. In fact, who was it on the panel said, no, you actually paid him. I go, yes, you know what, that is right. So it's a gift. So our journeyman program has a 4-year outline, and it says if you do this in the first year, we're going to pay you this, right? Because you have to do testing and you have to get sign-offs as you work with our equipment and our people. But if you do that, we're going to pay you, and you're going to get progressive pay. And he's making 23 and change now after 4 years. And the beautiful thing is he has no debt for education. We paid him to work, he paid as he went, and he did the work. And I'm telling you, this is an awesome program, because the beautiful thing about this, you're learning from many. My people who might have a little gray hair, I said, you're a professor in my company. We have lots of professors in my trade, in my company. And part of our philosophy is we share our knowledge. See, we're going to learn from our young people coming in, and we have learned. We have learned so many awesome things. Hey, why don't you do it this way? Oh my gosh, we never thought about that. So as much as our young new people coming into our trade are learning from us, we're learning from them new technologies, how to apply different things, and look at the world a little bit differently. I will tell you this, if you write this down, PTM Corporation, if you guys Google that, if you want to learn more, go to PTM Corporation Facebook. We do applications on our Facebook account. We do hire a lot of general labor through there, and it gives people an opportunity just to be in an environment. We do a lot of training. We have great medical benefits. We have hired, who's familiar with SCCRESA? Could you raise your hands if you are familiar with SCCRESA? So what we do, our company, we go out because we have CNCs. I have wire EDM. I have 5-axis lasers, 3-axis lasers. I have hydraulic presses. I have mechanical presses. We have engineering services. Our customers come to us, they don't even know what they want on a vehicle. They send the data over, we look at the environment, and we will actually create the product for them. You guys, please check out my website. I didn't bring anything up here. Next time I do, I would love to show you American manufacturing right here in St. Clair County. We ship 2.5 million pieces out the door every week that go all over the world, Russia, Europe. It's just phenomenal what we do.
Manufacturing Day was very cool. Donna opened her shops for Manufacturing Day, which is a wonderful thing. It was awesome. It's very clean. It's beautiful. I was so excited I wanted to stay and work, But I talked to everybody that we met, from the CAD programs to the prototypes and stamping. I talked to everybody that was there. I mean, I was the questionnaire, And I asked him, I said, how did you land here? I mean, he was doing really cool things. He was checking...
was it the Ferroarm? Was he scanning stuff?
And I asked him about that machine, which is right there. And I asked him, you know, what he was doing. And so he explained to us, and I said, and what he was doing, it wasn't black and white, it was very artistic.
Yeah, what he was doing, he was scanning the parts, and it literally picks up millions of data points. Our quality has to be perfect. And so that thing is scanning it, thousands, millions of data points. And what happens, it goes into the computer, and then we create quality reports, and then we send that data on to the customer, and they determine, yeah, we can live with that or we can't live with that. And that's the beautiful thing about my company. What I love about what we do is we get all the future vehicles that are coming. We see them, nobody's even seen them. We're working on the Class A surfaces, which are the skins of the car, but we also do what I call the bones of the car. The bones are the structural part of it, and we do both. So we get to see all that stuff way up front before it even goes to production. Beautiful thing about that, we go through and cherry pick. We want to go after these programs for production. And so now then our production team jumps all over that, and then we go after that, and then we design and build the production tooling, which stamps and runs up and down, and that's how we get our production. So we call it a womb to tomb process. I don't know if that makes sense. We create the product at its infant stages, and then we launch it into production, and we carry it through the life cycle of the vehicle, because you see vehicles are changing all the time. We love it. When they want to change something, we get to make new parts, we build new tools, and that creates more work for us. So I wanted Amy to come because, I don't know, has anybody ever here participated in like Bring Your Child to Work Day? Has anybody gone to their mom and dad's employer or anything like that? Has anybody ever heard it? Do we even still do that anymore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, cool. So Amy was like 10 years old, and I used to love taking the students, because I love new people, because you guys are our future. You people are going to revolutionize what we do in manufacturing, and that excites me. Amy comes through as a 10-year-old, yep, this right here, I think this was manufacturing day. Well, Amy was 10, these are 10th graders, and she comes through, and we have this machine called a 4-slide, and it's a stamping machine that produces parts. I won't get into any more details other than that. Amy comes through and she's like, why is it called a 4-slide? I'm like, well, it has 4 cams, it comes in and it forms on a center form, and everything forms, it cuts off and drops off the bottom. Well, why does it do this? Well, how come that's inverted there? I'm like, oh my gosh, this 10-year-old, this is exciting. So I brought Amy because I would like for her to tell you her story, because it's, I think, a lot of our young people go through in high school, what they want to do. And I said, Amy, would you please be a little transparent, because life isn't perfect, guys, right? But it's what we do with it and keep going, and that's what I just love about Amy's story. So if you guys don't mind, I'd like you to hear Amy. She works for me now. She's gone from a 10-year-old to a little older now, and I'm going to let her tell.
We won't mention how old.
Yeah, we won't. So we'll let her tell you her story and how she got into manufacturing.
Okay, hello everyone. As Donna explained, I kind of got introduced into manufacturing at a very young age. My mom has worked at PTM now for over 20 years. And so as a young child, I was out on the floor, and it was also very interesting to me. How do we make this? How does that happen? Why does that happen? That's kind of always how my brain has worked. So when I was in high school, I think it was my senior year, I started kind of working for PTM. I went to Marine City, class of 05, I'm going to age myself, but Marine City. Born and raised in St. Clair County. So I started working at PTM when I was a senior in high school, because my mom had worked there, really flexible with my schedule. I could work when I was on holiday and stuff, and started working kind of answering phones. And still at that point, even when I graduated at 17, I really had no idea what I wanted to do. I don't know how many of you out there feel that way. I know there's some people that when you graduate, you know exactly what you're going to do. I'm going to go, if I'm going to be a construction worker or an electrician or a doctor or a baker. Hats off to all those people, because I was completely lost. So I decided it was kind of expected in my family that when you graduate high school, you go to college. So I went to Western. Ms. Shawn kind of commented a little bit on this.
I just wanted to say, really good athlete, really good student.
Thank you.
Seriously.
So I went to Western primarily because most of my friends went there. Once I graduated, I was interested in so many different things. I couldn't pick a major. I, quite frankly, wasted a lot of time and money there. Had a little bit too much fun, and eventually had to come back home. So I wasted a few years there and came home, ended up working back at PTM off and on. I really couldn't figure out what it was that I wanted to do. So I did a little bit of everything at PTM. I started out, I sorted parts. I worked in our quality department, going through making sure we were delivering 100% good quality parts to our customers. I worked as a receptionist. I worked in payroll. I worked as an administrative assistant. So I wasn't necessarily on an actual apprenticeship program, but I kind of did my own. And that's why PTM was always so great for me, because it's such a huge campus. We do a little bit of everything. Donna kind of mentioned we have prototype, which is kind of like tryout, trying to see if something's going to work. We have mass production. We have, not only just all the manufacturing, we have accounting. I was in payroll. I was in human resources. I did a little bit of everything. I actually kind of left PTM a few times. I went to California and lived there for a year, and then I went to Florida and lived there for a year, and I just really couldn't figure it out. But I've always kind of found a home at PTM. It's family owned. It's always kind of been somewhere unlike anywhere else that I've ever worked. But now I work in program management. I finally found my home, I feel like. So I've kind of tried a little bit of everything on my journey, but I finally found something that, I'm challenged, I feel rewarded. I did HR for a while, I'm still working with people, but I've kind of done a little bit of everything. I'm home back at PTM, but I had quite a journey. A program manager. So what I do now, I work in the large prototype division. So we build kind of bigger assemblies. So prototypes, smaller quantities. We're helping people like GM, Honda, Toyota, like Donna mentioned, figure out if something's going to work. We're making maybe 45 cars, parts for their cars, trying to figure out, is this going to work so that we can get into production so that people can drive these vehicles one day. So what I do as a program manager is I'm kind of the main point of contact between our customer and PTM. So I'm the person, when Honda decides they want to give us some work, we win some work from them, I'm the point of contact that they go to if they have any information that they want to give PTM, if they have any changes. I know my customers, I know what their requirements are, I know, what.
Keep a budget.
Yes, I track my budget.
Keep your engineering change reps. Make sure they're on time.
I make sure we're going to be profitable. I work with the people on the floor. So right when we get kicked off on a plan, I kick it off on the floor. This is what we're doing. This is our due date. I order material. I make sure, like Donna said, I track my budget.
Sorry? You said you order steel.
I order material. Yes, I order steel. But I finally found something that I love to do. It took me quite a while to get there. I tried a lot of different things that I didn't like. But one thing that Donna mentioned is our apprenticeship programs at PTM, which are an amazing opportunity. If you don't quite know what you want to do yet, I think it's Christy mentioned that we usually take associates that have already worked there because we invest a lot in you. So we do want to make sure that you are a hard worker and that this is definitely what you want to do. We pay for your school. We pay for your books. You start off at entry level and then you can kind of figure out what direction it is that you want to go, and we're going to help you get there.
And we have hired,
I don't know, I could really talk
yeah,
forever. I don't know if there's
I know, and I'm
specific,
telling you,
I'm not going to keep rambling
you
on.
love
That's kind of my
manufacturing,
story.
and two, we did hire, we always hire kids through RESA. We have hired the top candidates for CNC, the top candidates for auto body shop, the top candidates for welding. Like Frank said, I'm telling you what, their welding program here that they have is just outstanding. Their CNC program here is outstanding. The staff here is outstanding. They really have helped, at least our company, and this is when we recruit like colleges do to the top of the class, or like how athletes are sought after. We go here and we recruit looking for that top of the class to say, we want this kid. We're going to try to get this kid down here. In fact, we've employed several. We had 4 interns. They're not apprenticeship programs or journeymen, but we bring them in and we let them work with what I call our professors, right? They're sharing their knowledge and it's letting these kids know if they want to. We had 4, and one was a young lady, and she says, well, I don't really want to stay here because I want to go on to the military. But what she was learning at our company would be a valuable skill set that she can have to take that into the military and where else, or one day may wind up at Wayne's place. Those of you who work on farms, I don't know if anybody works on farms. We had a farm. My son worked on a manure spreader when he was 16. He's under there and he was not happy because you know what a manure spreader carries, right? And he's down there fixing the chain link because it was mechanical drive, and He's like, I don't know, this is such bullcrap, how do I have to do it? I go, Steve, this will help you. You know what, we need skilled trades, you guys. We need people with mechanical aptitudes, right? That is where it's at. That's what built this country. It's very exciting what we can do. But everything that you're learning right now in high school will carry over into your work ethic on what you do. Like Wayne said, to show up on time. All those are very important. What I would encourage you, because I'm telling you, the rest of the people are going to speak. These guys are awesome, what they're going to tell you about skilled trades. Check our website out, ptmcorporation.com. Check our Facebook out. Go and like us. There's a lot of things on there that you can learn. And a lot of the things that Christine said about that website, I learned something new here tonight. I'm going to go on there and I'm going to check that out because I think that's pretty cool. So,
all right, we covered it all.
Yeah, come and visit us, please. We would love to have visitors. We love to show off Main Street.
So Kenny, 1990-1993, got his associate's degree in civil architecture from St. Clair County Community College. 2001 to 2003, completed the apprenticeship classes at Macomb Community College. Training started at Ford UAW in January of 2001 and completed the apprenticeship in February of 2004. Certifications along with his journeyman's card. He currently has a level 2 certification in ultrasonic leak detection and probably the coolest job in the plant. These are pictures of the construction that he does, and I'll let him talk about that.
Basically what I am is a plumber pipe fitter. Just a couple of equipment that we use, like the green man lift, that's how we get into the air to put the pipe up in the air. The previous picture before showed our fire suppression system that I currently just finished. Coming out of the ground on the right, and then all our different branches and fire sprinkler heads up in the air, and it's close to 30 feet in the air that we have to put that pipe. Go back to the other picture. Picture there on the left is basically a pneumatic system. Fuel with compressed air, which gives us a lot of our energy to power our machines, our different cylinders, pneumatic valves. And basically what I do, along with construction, is I have to also maintain these machines. I have to troubleshoot these machines when they go down. To the bottom right there, that's a hydraulic system, which I also have to maintain and troubleshoot. So basically, they recently combined, it used to be two separate trades, hydraulic and plumber pipe fitter, and they combined us. So I had to go again and learn another trade. That was about 5 years ago.
I think that's interesting. The face of the trades is changing. Kenny, did Ford pay for that when you went to school, or how did that work?
Yes, basically what I had to do is I had to go take a test. I hired into Ford in 1993. I was on production for 8 years. I took the apprenticeship test, passed it. Thankfully, with my civil engineering degree at SC4, I was able to not have to go to school. I got like 8 classes wiped out from my apprenticeship because I already had it. So I got my apprenticeship done really, really fast because overtime and because I got the schooling done.
Did you pay for that, or did they?
No, Ford paid for that. That's actually I believe, federal funded program. They pay for it, they get reimbursed.
And did you get paid for it like work hours, or how did that work?
Yes, you get paid to go to school.
Nice.
When you were at school, and then of course, I believe it was when you reached 2,000 hours, you got a pay raise. 4,000 hours, you got a pay raise, until you were at 8,000 hours and you were at journeyman pay.
And then when you're done with that, it's like, oh, okay, poof, go do stuff. Is that how does that work?
That's exactly how it works.
Wow. Yikes.
Yes, you know, this plant that I work in is 3 million square feet.
Wow.
And basically, I cover all 3 million with the job I have now. It said that I'm ultrasonic. What I do now, I'll give you day in the life of Ken Shunk. I wake up at 1:15 in the morning. I work from 2:30 in the morning to 2:30 in the afternoon every single day. Weekends, it's generally 8 hours from 6:30 to, but when you're a journeyman, you're basically going to be working 7 days a week. I mean, in my trade. I don't know about, I can't speak for any other trade, but, you know, and I don't know. It's you got to work hard. And if I can give you guys a piece of advice, if you go on to an apprenticeship, work all the overtime you can get, be one step ahead of your journeyman. I know you're going to be inexperienced at first, but when you start to gain some experience, try to stay one step ahead of your journeyman. And never, ever, I can't tell you this enough because I see it today, don't ever let your journeyman be working on something while you standing there watching, because you will get a reputation and it won't be a good one. Take your tools out of your journeyman's hand, and you are the one who has to do the work, because you are the one that's going to be on your own one day to do the work. And that way you will know it.
So, okay, so explain. You said stay one step ahead of your journeyman. So what does that mean? What do you mean by that?
Well, when, like that fire system that I showed, say, go out and get the pipe. Just try to ask your journeyman, what do I need to do? So it can be as simple as that. You know, what's next?
Can I
Sure.
say something? For every apprentice, there is one journeyman that they work with. It might be a rotating person, so you might be working with different people, but when you were an apprentice, you were working with a journeyman. So that's what he was talking about, of trying to be, work with them. Don't stand and watch, because they can talk you through what you need to do.
Unless he tells you to stand there and watch. You're the one with the tools in your hands. I see today, we have apprentices coming on with 20 years seniority, and they have the attitude that they're entitled. And I don't ever get that, don't ever feel that way. You take your job seriously, and be safe. Donna mentioned it. I've seen things that I would never want anybody to see. Be safe.
Awesome. Questions? Good? All right. Tyler Swope, Northern Michigan University, electrical lineman technician, because somebody told him to. American Line Builders Apprenticeship, August 2012 to January 2016. Certifications include journeyman lineman, Class A, CDL. Remember Wayne talking about that? You need that. OSHA 30, which I bet all you guys are all OSHA certified, yes? The whole table. CPR, first aid, and I don't even, pole top, that was scary when I saw that. What does that even mean? And bucket rescue.
Shunk had been.
Yeah. Look at my panelists, I grow them.
Little bitty seed. So I went to Marine City. Represent.
I'm so sorry, it just happened. I promise, I'll go other places next time.
I am.
You want me to put this, can I put another picture of you, okay, talking about this stuff with other pictures, you have cool ones?
Okay.
Ready? Oh, yeah, look at that.
So I was getting ready to graduate high school. I wanted to go into the military, the Marine Corps to be exact. I was talking to a recruiter, because I didn't have a clue what I wanted to do at all. So I said, I'll go to the Marine Corps. Mom didn't like that idea. So I came to class one day and told Mrs. Shunk, you gotta find me something to do, because Mom says I can't go to the Marine Corps. And I forget her name, but you had a representative from Northern there.
Dina,
yep. Mm-hmm. And she sat there and she says, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. That's what I'm asking you. So we talked, and I didn't even know they had an electrical alignment program. And you guys ended up talking after we left, and I was still clueless after that meeting. Felt like it was totally useless. You called me and said, they got a lineman program. I said, sign me up. So I applied, And I drove, and I'll never forget it, because I told my dad, I said, I'm not going in the Marine Corps, I'm gonna go be a lineman, but you gotta drive me to this interview in Marquette. So we're thinking this is gonna be a big ordeal and all that, and we drive up there, and we've got property in Roscommon, so we stay at the cabin. Was it Thursday night? We get up there Friday, and the interview was 3.5 minutes long. And then we drove straight home. And there was probably 4 words said the whole way home. Yeah, it was cool. So I went and did that program. That program was really fun. It was 4 hours, 10 months long, 4 hours of climbing in the morning, all throughout the UP winters even. And then 4 hours of book work in the afternoon. The book work, obviously you're learning quite a bit of math, which I wasn't great at, but they do help you. You learn electrical theory, circuitry, rigging. You know, you gotta know if you're using this chain or what it can lift, you know, because 150 foot in the air, you don't want your chain breaking. That's bad. So, and then through this program, they helped me get my Class A CDL. They have trucks, they'll let you practice with them. They give you a discount on your driving test, which is cool. They do OSHA 10 with you, not OSHA 30. OSHA 30 my previous employer gave me, or put me through. First aid, CPR, they'll run you through all the steps into finding work. They'll give you all the websites. They have people come and they'll talk to the class, you know, that have been in the trade for multiple years, and they know the best ways in and out. And so that program was really good. I was glad I did it. And in this field, you don't absolutely have to go to this vocational training like I did, but it helps. I had 0 experience. I was just out of high school, and out of probably 40 or 50 people, I ranked 3rd in my interview. Just because I had this class was the only reason. So it definitely helps. And it was a little pricey. It wasn't too crazy expensive. I think for 2 semesters, it come out to 12 grand, which I think, I'm not sure what starting wage is now, but when I started as a first up apprentice, it was $22.50 an hour. And I was still living in mom's basement, so I paid that 12 grand off pretty quick. So I recommend that program. I can't speak for every program. I know Lansing Community College, Alpena Community College, and obviously Northern, they all do it. I went to the one in Northern Michigan in Marquette, and I can't speak for the other ones. I know people that have gone through those courses as well, and they liked them. They did enjoy those courses. I believe Alpena is 2 years, Alpena Community College. I think they do a whole year of climbing and then a whole year of classroom work. I couldn't say for sure, but.
And I had to include this one little note here that Tyler said to me, you know, 5 years out of high school, and I've just been promoted to a line foreman on a 69,000 volt steel tower reconstruction, and he thinks I wanted to hear that? That's good.
I was such a brown noser.
One more thanks your way for helping me get started. I'm like, don't share. It's scary. I mean, I look at the pictures. I love the pictures, but they're scary. I mean, this is a big inch truck down here. That's not somebody's little Tonka truck. That's a real truck. It's a long way up.
That's a cloud.
I'm trying to remember.
And he rescued the squirrel.
Yeah,
I
rescued it. Let it go too.
Yeah.
Did you buy it for your?
No, we had a power outage. We had a bunch of tornadoes come through the northern part of the state a couple years ago. The last thing you expect after a tornado when there's a power outage is a squirrel on the top of the transformer. And the squirrels would knock the power out. He went out and tried to take a bite of the wire or something. That didn't work out for him. So I'm climbing up there and expecting just wire to be all messed up, and I get up there and he's looking right at me.
Oh.
I about jumped off the pole. Wasn't quite ready for that.
Conservationist too, right?
Yeah. So I posed a picture with him, as you see.
Does your job require you to travel?
Yes, that's another thing. This job, I'm sure like a few other jobs, you can make absolutely as much money as you want to in this field. You will absolutely, if you desire, you can write your own paycheck in this field. I know guys, an average year in Michigan, average is 100 grand. some years a little less, some years a little more. I've gone through the apprenticeship with guys that have topped out here in Michigan, got on with a contracting crew in California, and they're clearing 300 grand a year. And that's obviously packing up and traveling California, but I mean, who wouldn't want to do that, you know? It's an awesome job, and like I said, you can travel the whole country, you can work everywhere. Obviously, there's more money on the road, but you can settle down. Everyone thinks if you're a lineman, you're away from home all the time. And I did it for 6 years. I lived out of the back of my car for 6 years. It does get old, but there are jobs. Obviously, Detroit Edison, Consumers Energy around here, Thumb Electric, Great Lakes Cooperative. You know, it depends on where you settle down. There are jobs close to home, so don't think that you're always going to be traveling. I mean, if that's what you want, there's always going to be work for you. But there's a lot of opportunities.
When you were at the program at Northern, did you have to buy like your own equipment?
Yes, and that was the hardest part for me because I had no money. A good set of tools, which I didn't buy, but the absolute cheapest ones I could. It ran me about $900 to $1,000. But those tools, like the climbing belt I have, it's a quad D-ring leather belt. I still have this, the first one I bought. They last if you take care of them forever, you know. So one time, and sometimes they break or they get lost or thrown off a pole. And you got to replace them, but like I said, if you take good care of your stuff, it'll last you forever. So
Is it hard to get life insurance?
through my the last local I worked through, they gave us life insurance, but it wasn't very much. It was about enough to send to get well card. No, I forget what company it was, but I had him come out, and we were sitting at the dining room table. He was trying to sell me insurance, and he didn't know what it did. I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm a lineman. He got all wide-eyed. Conversation ended really quick. He's like, oh, I don't know if you want to see this premium. And I said, I probably don't. But,
So
no,
what do you do? What do you do? I mean, do you have insurance right now?
life insurance? No life insurance.
No. Okay.
There's enough in the bank to bury me.
Okay.
I mean, that's just kind of the facts of it. I mean, I'll have life, you know, once my kid's born and all that, obviously I'll get life insurance and all that, but.
Tyler, look at this one.
Which one's that?
The one in the middle and the bottom. That looks really scary. At first when I saw it, I thought, well, that's just not a good picture. And then I looked at it and I went, oh my gosh, now I realize what I'm seeing. Those are just the tops of poles, yes?
Yeah, those are, that was a 300, Consumers Energy has two 345,000 volt lines in the whole state, and this was one of them we did up in Unionville for the wind farm. They were, I want to say, 170 foot poles, and they get a lot bigger than that, believe it or not. There's ladder structures out there that are clearing 200-300 foot.
So where was that?
This was up in Unionville.
Unionville.
Yep, east of Bay City there.
Oh, okay.
That was a fun job. A lot of bad stuff happened that job.
So what's the highest you've ever been up?
At work?
Yes.
Thanks for
Yes. I'd like clarification, and I'd like you to tell me a little bit more about that, but how high do you get?
Well, we gotta be drug free too. We get drug tested pretty often. But probably that job, I'd say 170 foot. That job, the top left picture, that's called a spacer cart. Those two conductors, they're at the same potential, but due to load, they run two different conductors instead of just one massive conductor. And in between those, we put spacers so they're not slapping together. And that little cart gets dropped off by a crane up on the top of the tower, in which you follow after. And then you hop in that little cart and ride to the top of the next tower. So I'd say about 170 foot to answer your question.
So Dale, do
Yes,
you
ma'am.
put those people up there?
Not on the electrical towers, but on wind turbines.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're even higher,
Yeah.
the wind turbines.
Yeah?
315.
Yeah, they're 100 meters out there.
315, yeah. And that's at the center of the hub. The blades are 117 to 136 foot long, so they're well over 400.
This looks like a little boom truck party here.
That was in Grand Rapids after a windstorm a few years ago. And sometimes you see line trucks sitting on the side of the road and you're thinking that's why my electric bill's so high, because they're all making a bunch of money and they're just sitting there. Which
Like
sometimes
ours.
is true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lazy linemen. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then sometimes we've had 4 or 5 trucks on one pole for 10 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
It's just a lot of the things people don't understand about when your lights go out is they think there's just some guy somewhere that flips this big old switch and the lights come on, and that's not the case at all. There's broken poles, broken wire. There's houses on fire. There's all sorts of crazy stuff.
So safety is a little bit important in your job too.
Yes, rubber is your best friend. We have Class 2 rubber gloves and sleeves. Class 2s are for 17,000 volts and under. I have had to work out of Class 4s, which was for 34,500 volts. The most voltage I've ever held in my hand was 14,400. I have hot stick, 46,000 volts. Hot sticking, we have these 10-foot fiberglass sticks. Fiberglass is an excellent insulator. We use them for a lot of our tools. And we can actually work on live power lines up to any voltage they can come up with. I think AEP has the highest voltage transmission line in the country, and that's 765,000 volts. But we can work any voltage with these fiberglass sticks, and a lot of the time you can't take the power out. If it's a massive feed, feeding Chicago, and it can't be rerouted, they have to do the work hot, and they do it with these fiberglass sticks.
Oh my gosh.
The hot sticking I've done was more over on the west side of the state. And it's kind of eerie because when you first learn how to hot stick, they tell you don't wear your rubber gloves and sleeves. And that doesn't make much sense because you think, oh, if your stick goes bad, you want rubber gloves in your hand. Well, they tell you not to because if your stick goes bad, you'll start to feel it.
Oh.
And you do.
Oh.
That's cool. Just like a lot of people here will probably say, I think I have the best job in the world. If you ask me that at 2 in the morning when I'm in a swamp, I'll probably have a different opinion. But I think the hardest part about my job, like for example, last Sunday I had just worked 24 hours straight. I got home and I was sleeping for 10 minutes when my phone rang to come back into work.
Oh.
And you can't tell them no, that's your job. You could tell them no and you won't have a job come Monday. When I was a foreman, when I was contracting, I think I was at $44.50 an hour.
Okay.
I just got on with a local cooperative up in the Thumb, and they have 12,000 customers just in the Thumb area, and we just service those people. There I'm at $39 an hour. So I mean, there's good wages everywhere. The further south you go, Tennessee, Kentucky, Florida, they pay a little less, but they're still low mid-30s. Now you go out to California or New York, they're gonna pay upward of $55, $60 an hour. That's straight time. You go out there, you're gonna be working a lot of double time, so you're pushing $120 an hour.
Wow.
They pay really good on the East and West Coast for some crazy reason.
So you never have time to spend it till vacation?
Yeah.
No vacation?
No. I bought my first house 2 years ago, and I had been in the trade for 3 years at that point. I got in when I was 19 and go to buy a house, and I'm wondering where all my money went. I don't have a house, I don't have nothing. Made $100 grand a year for 3 years in a row. It's all gone.
Wow, and still living in your car.
Yeah, but I mean that was when I was younger. Don't do what I did. Save your money, live with mom and dad as long as you can until they kick you out.
Dale Volker, I get to talk to him as he's walking in. Heavy equipment operator from 1999 to present. Operating engineers local 324. Education, Marine City High School, class of 1986. College prep, Ferris State University, 1987 for communications. And then St. Clair County Community College in 1988 in business management. He has certifications in OSHA 30, Industrial Rough and Terrain Forklift, NCCCO certified, and I put it down there so you know, because I had to look it up. Rigger and signal person, lattice boom truck cranes, lattice boom crawler trains, telescopic boom cranes with a swing cab, telescopic boom cranes with a fixed cab, boom truck and service truck cranes, overhead cranes, and tower cranes. That's a lot. That's a lot of, is it a lot of classwork? So Dale, tell us about this. Tell us about, is it a lot of classwork? Is it, what is it? And P.S., this is you, yeah?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's where he ran his power lines. And yeah, we are a service trade. We basically work with all of these other service people. And to answer your question, classroom and on the job, our apprenticeship it's a 4-year apprenticeship, but you go through your testing and get in, and you do some classroom work, but they will send you on a job. You might be in class for a month and then be on a job for, it could be up to a year.
When you're just starting out and you're in that program, what kind of things are you doing while you're on the job? Greasing things and that kind of
thing? Pretty much like Kenny says, you do whatever your journeyman tells you. It could be go get me coffee.
Okay.
But it's mostly pay attention, listen, learn. And you were saying that every apprentice only has one journeyman. What we do is, if you get on a job, all the journeymen are your journeymen. And you may be working with me on this crane, and I might tell you to go work with another journeyman, and it could be anybody, just to have the different experiences and learn all the equipment, because you're definitely not going to have that to begin. You won't have the big crane to start.
So, P.S., I just wanted you to, I even put a little arrow here because I want you to see that's way high up there.
That's actually a Marine City graduate, Adam Coverdale.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's Adam.
Oh.
And that's McLaren, Port Huron Hospital, the new addition they did.
This is cool. Tell them about this one.
Which one you got? Oh, the Kenny Chesney concert, Ford Field. Got to go and actually run this crane through a rental barn and Olympia, and then I believe they had something to do with this, and Kenny Chesney always uses them to do all this stage work. And we actually work with just the stage hands. Actually did the platform, the towers for the lighting. And then they have, after that, they bring in the audio guys to set up all that.
I feel like crane operating is probably art.
Somewhat. You just got to remember not to smash all your help. Everything you pick up, the normal guy isn't going to be able to handle what you're handing to him, so you have to, one of my biggest lessons was to learn that.
Yeah.
Treat your guys with kid gloves, because the 200-pound guy is not going to handle the 10,000-pound beam very well if you don't treat them good. But it's all in your crew with my industry.
In Detroit, you worked with the iron workers in Detroit.
Yep.
To do.
We did the hotel at Motor City Casino.
Okay.
I was there for over a year, and that's still to this date the most boom I ever had in a crane, and we were at 400 feet with that.
Oh my God.
And elevation on the top of that building is 286, I think. Those guys were up there. Iron workers are interesting people, to say the least.
So did you just show up at local 324 and say, hey, I want to fill out this application?
No.
Yeah, how does that work?
I went to Ferris. I was going to be a pharmacist because they get paid almost as much as Wayne's guys. And that's what I thought. But I got there and found out that schooling wasn't for me. So I went into communications because the band and Mrs. Schoen's husband, that was the cool thing. We got to play with the audio stuff, right? We got the radio stations equipment and the studios and all that. But I didn't graduate there. I came back home and took business management at SE4 because my grandfather was a painter through the Depression, and I thought that was how I was going to survive. And all of those classes, I'm going to say, all the communication stuff and the business stuff, all help me with the operating, because everything's communication through the people. I don't just show up and tell them what they're going to do. They have a plan. We're going to pick this up, put it there. rigging designs and all these kind of things are done by other people. We just pull the levers and make it happen. But to tell you how I got there is I had friends that were in the local, and when they were very, very busy back years ago, they wanted me to come and do that with them. They thought that I could drive the ski boat, so hey, you'd be a good operator, right? And I turned them down because I was going to get rich being a painter to start, and found out that everybody in high school every summer is going to be a painter too. And eventually I just got sick of chasing the money as a business owner, and ended up through the apprenticeship got in.
So crane operation is like a subcategory of like
Yes.
heavy equipment?
Yes.
So heavy equipment, and then there's
The cranes are one side of it, and then we have what we call our civil, which is, how did you get that picture?
You told me I could go find some.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But the civil side is like our dirt work,
That's
like on
good.
site here. That's actually McLaren Hospital there in the background of my lovely daughter, and I don't know who that bum is with her.
This nice guy.
But they'll handle all the roads and all the footing for our cranes, our ground stability, and that kind of thing. Those are the guys that handle that. And they'll run excavators, bulldozers. Everybody you see on the roads, all that type of equipment is our road contract people. And they'll build bridges, they'll do the underground piping, electrical. They'll work with the electricians. We are, like I say, a service group for most other union contractors.
so it's all the same local.
No, we're local 324 as the operators.
Okay.
And the job sites normally will call us for the people, and you have to be qualified for whatever they have on site, which is through our apprenticeship. Our apprenticeship is a 4-year apprenticeship. And like I say, you'll be at the training site and you'll be on the job. Your best learning is done on the job, but all the book work is at the apprenticeship. And you will just, everything from a little tiny high-low all the way up to the big cranes, you know, eventually, if that's what you want to do. But you'll hit all the different branches if you just wait. You'll find them.
So I keep hearing the same thing, that apprenticeship seems to be the way to go, huh?
Yeah.
That's,
Getting into our apprenticeship is as simple as going to that website.
Okay.
Or, do you have our training site phone
Yes.
number?
yes, I do.
You can call and actually apply online, or just go to the website and apply online. I think all it takes is a PayPal account. It's I'm going to tell you a number, it's probably around $30 to $35 to put in an application. And then our next round of taking applications, I was told the other day, is sometime early next year. And you'll be interviewed if you're chosen to go interview. There's a fairly easy aptitude test, I guess, included with that interview. And you basically just go talk to our instructors, and they just want to see that you can communicate, basically, or see if you have any prior knowledge of any of our equipment. You know, is all helpful. I actually worked in a plastics plant and ran a shipping and receiving department before I got in, and pretty much had high-low experience. It was a few years, but it wasn't real impressive on a resume. But it helped me get in. That and my ability to drive our ski boat. Never my ski boat. But yeah. Any questions at all?
Okay. Awesome. Woohoo! So Jerry is SOS State of Michigan Master Mechanic, ASE Master Mechanic, Ford Senior Master All Gas and Diesel, Asset, which is Ford's program, Automotive Student Service Education Training, there it is the only program with paid internship allowing you to earn while you learn. Students alternate for 6 to 8 weeks in the classroom and 6 to 8 weeks with their sponsoring Ford or Lincoln dealer over a 2-year period. At the end of that 2 years, they earn an associate's degree and valuable dealer experience. He is gasoline engine and repair and performance certified, diesel engine repair and performance certified, steering and suspension, electrical systems, climate control, manual transmission, auto transmission, brake systems, new model training, and probably a million more. And then I added on the bottom there that little teeny tiny bullet that says Section 4 of the Motor Vehicle Service and Repair Act, MCL, blah, 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 requires repair facilities to employ persons properly certified for the type of repairs performed by the facility. And so Jerry and I had this conversation about the fact that when something comes in, he can do it. It doesn't matter what it is. He can do it because he has every certification that they offer. Some people don't have that. So when a job comes in and you're 100% commission and you can't do it, sorry, somebody else is getting your work. So it pays to get those certifications. It pays to do the time to be able to perform the work, yeah?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so holders of valid mechanic training permits must work under the supervision of a Jerry Salisbury. Yeah. Okay? So, you know, he's like, if I have any questions, you know, I go to Jerry. You know, he's got the answers and he can do it, and he, you know, is certified and everything. But in addition to that, he also has another little business. So I really liked this quote that I found somewhere in Salisburyville. Be ready to revise any system, this is Ford. Scrap any method, abandon any theory if the success of the job requires it. Jerry has a business, and besides just having being the master mechanic and, you know, the guy in the garage at Ford, or at Bill McDonald Ford, he also owns a business in Marine City and the Popcorn Paradise, which is awesome. That he has a business as well. So this guy, and he's straight commission at Bill McDonald, which means that as much as he works, that's what he makes. Okay, so he has to balance his time between that and this business. How do you do that? So talk about the day in the life of Jerry Salisbury.
All right. Here we go. As far as a lot of you, everyone's talked about how they landed there and this and that, I think I pretty much was born with a wrench in my hand. I mean, when I was, you know, 8 years old, I was tearing apart the blender, and when I was 12, I was taking apart the bicycle, and when I was 16, I knew I was going to work on cars, and that's just how it was. And I'm a product of the Skill Center, which it was called at the time.
Yeah.
I came through the program here. I had a co-op job when I was 17. I worked at the Kmart in Marine City, busting tires and changing oil. And from there, I graduated and thought I should go to school because that's what everybody said to do. You have to go to school, you have to get a higher education. Okay. So I went to Indianapolis, and I didn't tell you this part.
Yeah.
I went to Indianapolis to what was supposed to be the best school in the country for diesel engines, Lincoln Technical Institute. Still there, still running. I went down there, and it was very high-paced, 40 hours a week of school. So I was there. I was in school from 8 o'clock until about 4 every day. You had an hour for lunch, and then a couple of nights a week I was working at the Kmart down in Indianapolis because they transferred me down there. I told them I was going to be moved down there. Went through. They had 6-week sessions. That was your class block, and after the 6 weeks, you took an exam, and you moved on to the next block of classes. So after the first 6 weeks, I realized it was expensive. I was like, man, I don't feel like I'm learning a lot. I went to the counselors there and I said, I just don't feel like you guys are teaching me a lot. I learned a lot when I was here. I was top of the class here. We competed at the state level, and we did well with the stuff that Skill Center offered. So I went to the counselors there and I said, I just don't feel like I'm being taught current, up-to-date stuff here. And I had gone through some of their more difficult classes and was, mastering all their classes. And they had an opportunity where you could take the final exam of any class, and if you passed it with an 85% or higher, you didn't have to take the whole class. So I took 4 of those and I passed them all. Wow. And I said, I'm not going through this. It didn't make sense. So I called Mom and Dad. I'm like, I know we did all these things, we made all these moves, but I'm not learning anything. So I came home and I came back and I went and saw John Wunsch. I think he's probably finally retired.
Yeah.
But, he was a sub last year for auto.
Okay, yeah, so he was my auto guy. I said, I need a job local, and went to work a couple different shops for a few months, and Bill McDonald Ford was opening a new dealership in Algonac, and I happened to, my uncle knew the parts guy because he owned a little shop in town. And Bill McDonald hired me at 19, and I went in and I started doing oil changes and rust proofing, and I worked for him for a year. And the service manager that was there liked me, and he moved on to a bigger place, and I went with him, and 20 years went by. I worked down in the city, and called Bill McDonald 20 years later because I never lost track of him. I said, I'm tired of driving down to the city. I want to come back and be local. And 4 weeks later, I was working in St. Clair, 5 minutes from home. So, you know, it's worked out well. But now I think things are a little different. You know, the asset program is an awesome program if you're looking for a job in the mechanical, you know, end of working on cars. Ford's asset program, they've been doing it for about probably 15 years, and I've worked with several asset students over the years, and it's a great program. And you know, you see all kinds, and you can usually tell, you know, a couple weeks in if the kid's got what it takes to make it or not. And I've seen some kids come through that program and just thrive through it. Guy that works next to me at work right now, he's about 32 now. He went through the asset program when it was in its beginning stages, and he's got it. He's got what it takes, and he's doing it.
How do you do that? I mean, can I, if I want to tomorrow, can I call Macomb and say I want to be involved in this program?
You
can
get
do
a
that
hold
off
of
the street?
I know Macomb College does it. I know Henry Ford does it. You contact them, and there's usually, I believe, it's not a real easy program to get into. And I think part of the responsibility may be on the individual to find a sponsoring dealer.
Okay.
So if you were from around here, you'd go to Bill McDonald, or you'd go to Northgate, or you'd go to Grandy, and you'd say, here's what I've done in school so far. I'm a good auto mechanic student. I've done this stuff. Here's my interest. I want to go to the asset program. Would you be willing to take me on? And if you go to the Macomb with and say, hey, I have a sponsoring dealership that'll place me, then that's how the program starts. And like it says there, 2 years of 6 weeks in the classroom, 6 weeks working hands-on, and you bounce back and forth, and after 2 years you come out with an associate's degree. You've been working, getting paid the whole time. Your sponsoring dealership typically pays your education, and you're pretty much guaranteed a job when you come out of it. So some of the benefits, you've heard a lot of the different people talking. I've never drawn unemployment. I've never not gone to work. I've also never worked a weekend. I mean, that's
now you're talking.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain benefits, and some of those aspects are changing. There are some dealerships that are open on Saturdays, but there aren't any that are open on Sunday that I know of. And I have friends that might have to work 1 or 2 Saturdays a month, but I mean, it's that's a couple of the huge benefits. Most car dealerships aren't union. So, there's downsides. The benefits aren't as good. You pay for a lot of your benefits more than we compare. You have friends that work for the union, and they get this, and this, and this, and you're like, well, I get this, but I got to pay for it. And so there's highs and lows to all of them. I'm 100% commission. If I go to work and there's nothing to do, I'm staying there and don't get paid. I never do that. I watch guys do it every day. I listen to guys complain, you can't make money in this business. Well, you can't make money in this business. And it all comes down to what you keep hearing everybody here say, and that's because, everybody that Kim has chosen, or that's here, we're, tops in our field.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
And we want you to have the opportunity to be those. So that's why we bring these people, so you understand what it takes to do that, to be the top in your field.
Yeah, you have to work hard. That's number one, no matter what. The common thing from every person here. If you're not willing to bust your butt, you're not going to make it, or you're not going to make it well. I mean, and then get some wild hair up your butt and decide you want to own a popcorn store too. Pretty cool.
This will be a great idea.
It's a great idea. Whose idea was this?
And string it across the country.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. What did it take for you to get your ASE?
To get your ASEs, you basically you sign up. It's a lot easier now than it used to be because everything's done on computers. So you go online, you register, you pay the money for the classes, you show up where they tell you to show up, and you take the tests. Now, unlike a lot of, I mean, probably most of these guys, and you know, it's strange to me. In the my wife's a nurse, and you know, she has to do continuing education stuff that doesn't really amount to much. But once you get your Michigan nursing license, as long as you renew it every 2 years, you have it forever. My ASE certifications are good for 5 years. And at the end of that 5 years, I have to go and I have to take all the comprehensive tests all over again with all the updates. And if you don't pass them, you're not certified anymore. But ASE test, I did my recertification 2 years ago, I think, maybe last year. And there's 9 categories that I'm certified in. I got there at 8 o'clock in the morning and I sat down in front of a computer and I walked out of there at 3 o'clock. So, and you get your, you used to have to wait 6 weeks to get results and wonder how you did, but I've been pretty happy. Fortunately, when I've taken them, I've been usually 95 to 98% on everything I've done. So it goes well. As far as Michigan certification, you don't have to be ASE certified to work in Michigan. You have to be state certified. You can go to the state of Michigan, Secretary of State, Port Huron. I want to take this test to work on brakes. And they give you a test, and if you pass it, you pay them the money, they give you a thing, you can go and legally work at a licensed facility in Michigan and work on brakes. If you have the ASE certifications, you can bring them to the state and they recognize them as credentials, and then you don't have to take their tests. Michigan certification, you renew it every year, and they actually have, when I just got my certification in the mail the other day, I have my electrical certification for the state of Michigan needs to be updated in 2018. And one of my other ones was 2019. So next year when I certify, I'll have to send them my ASE credentials in order to get recertified through the state of Michigan. Yeah.
Do you have to retake the test every year?
No, for the state of Michigan, you just have to fill out the form and send it in.
Oh, okay.
Just like a, it's a formality, really.
Yeah. I'm brake certified, but
Gotcha.
I haven't passed the certification.
And it's, it's their tests, and they don't, they're. Do you go here?
Yeah.
Do you?
Cool. You guys, I hate to do this because I love these guys and I would love to hear more and I could listen all night. If you have some questions, chase them out the door because it's time. But I just wanted to say thank you to our panel. You were absolutely wonderful.